principle of the five elements arise the five pranas or vital forces. On this basis the five sense organs carry out the functions of the five sense objects. From the tamas principle of the five elements is created the gross physical body. They form 1, juice 2, blood 3, flesh 4, bones 5, marrow. The five special organs viz. Brain, heart, liver, lungs, kidneys and the five sense organs of action are a creation of this area. The five demigods given to us, in order to help the living body, are also called the five sheaths. Superficially the body looks single yet its power augments more and more. Despite being invisible, it is so powerful that if it is activated, man can become great from lowly and also the cosmic soul, God, from his present status of an individual soul. These five coverings of a living being are called the five sheaths: 1, food sheath 2, vital force sheath 3, mental sheath 4, intellectual sheath 5, bliss sheath. Taittiriya Upanishad proclaims that the vital force sheath is in the food sheath, the mental sheath is in the vital force sheath, the intellectual sheath is in the mental sheath and that the bliss sheath is in the intellectual sheath. Over here there is some parity and at some places there are differences. Its discussion is as follows. Man is full of food and juice. This is its head. This is its southern aspect. This is its northern aspect. It is the soul. The hind tail is situated on the meridond, subtle spine. Taittiriya Upanishad 2:1/1. The soul which is within the food sheath made up of food, juice etc. is yet separate from it and is the vital force. It is omnipotent. It is of the same shape. Its activities too are similar. The vital force of the vital force sheath is the head. Its Vyan vital force is the southern aspect and the Apan vital force is the northern aspect. Space is its soul. Its status in earth is tail-like. Taittiriya Upanishad 2:2/1. Separate from the vital force sheath is the mental sheath. The vital force sheath overflows with the mental sheath. It is very similar to it. The vital force sheath is very similar to the mental sheath. Yaju is its head. Rig is the southern aspect and Sam is its northern aspect. Its soul is command. Taittiriya Upanishad 2:3/1. Why are the Vedas correlated to the mental sheath? This answer is given in the Shankar Bhashya commentary, in Sankalpa Manthan, and the sentiments are depicted in the form of Yaju, Rig, Sama Vedas. Different from the mental sheath is the intellectual sheath. The mental sheath is covered by the intellectual sheath. This is the intellectual sheath and is similar to Purusha. It is like the mental sheath. Faith is its head. Relative truth is its southern aspect and divine truth its northern aspect. Yoga is its soul. Its hind status is in importance. Taittiriya Upanishad 2:4/1. The bliss sheath, despite dwelling within the intellectual sheath, is separate from it. The intellectual sheath overflows with bliss sheath. This too is similar to Purusha, God. It is like the intellectual sheath. Beloved is its head. Inner bliss is its southern aspect and external joy is its northern aspect. Bliss is its soul. Its hind status is in Brahman. Taittiriya Upanishad 2:5/1. In the Panchdashi religious text, the verses 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 of chapter 3 depict the five sheaths as follows. The body of a creation of the Father's sperm, which in turn is made from the food that he partakes, is situated in the food sheath. Because the body undergoes birth and death, it cannot be the soul. The conscious soul is different from it. Panchdashi 3/3. The vital force sheath, which is an inspirer of the senses which give power, abound within the body. But this too, being unconscious like the body, cannot be the soul. It is separate. Panchdashi 3/5. What exactly are the five sheaths? The Upanishads, while describing them, say, the group of sheaths created by food. This visible body is called the food sheath. The group of 14 elements along with the vital force, prana, is called the vital force sheath. The group of sense organs and mind, embedded in these two sheaths, is called the mental sheath. The intellectual sheath plays the roles of discrimination, viveka, and intellect. The natural form and place of the soul, present within these bodies, is called the bliss sheath. In this manner human consciousness has been partitioned in 5 ways. This partitioning is called 5 sheaths. The food sheath means sense organ consciousness. The vital force sheath means our very life force. The mental sheath means thought process. The intellectual sheath means the unconscious center and flow of sentiments. The bliss sheath means soul wisdom and activation of the soul. The state of living beings evolves on the basis of these conscious layers. The high-stature spiritual practice of Gayatri is carried out so as to unveil the 5 sheaths and activate them. In order to point at this high-stature spiritual practice, the symbolic form of the 5-faced Gayatri is depicted. This depiction points at the activation of this chief potential of the 5 sheaths of the subtle body and thus attains supreme benefits of this great science. Via these sheaths one can attain that divine potential which can decorate our personality with wealth and glory. The conscious arena can be made as wealthy as the Lord of Wealth called Kubera. Sheath means a veil or a covering. When these veils are removed one after another, you ultimately come face to face with the absolute truth, reality. Those obstructions in the form of mental taints are removed due to activation, unveiling of the 5 sheaths which are the root cause of the living being failing to attain those powers given by the Lord, and as a result of which, he leads a demeaned life. The partitioning of the 5 sheaths has been presented in the categorization of the 3 bodies. These 3 are the gross, subtle and casual bodies. It is called Tripada Gayatri, 3-legged. The gross body is made up of the food and vital force sheath. The 5 elements and 5 vital forces, pranas, are embedded in it. The subtle body is made up of the mental and intellectual sheath. These 2 can be called conscious intellect and unconscious mind. The casual body is made up of the bliss sheath. Certain scholars differ on this subject, yet the reality is this only.